The answer. This pre-recorded program is sponsored by Tandem HR.
I see my name in shining lights. Yeah, a different city every night. Oh, I swear the world better prepare for when I'm a billionaire.
It's time to get down to business on the weekend's #1 business program. Known as the King of Networking, your host, Shalom Klein, has worked with thousands of entrepreneurs and created countless jobs. So, to success. Let's get down to business.
We are all about small business jobs and entrepreneurship and business. We talk a lot about business here. You're on with Get Down to Business, and I'm your host, Shalom Klein. Remember, you can always download podcasts from Get Down to Business on my website at shalomklein.com. And while you are there, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Shalom Klein. It's going to be a jam-packed week of content and information you will not want to miss, including our very first guests who are doing some incredible things. I am thrilled to kick off the program tonight with our first guest, Jim Elliott and Tinamarie Hernandez. Jim Elliott is the founder and president, and Tinamarie is the executive director of DiveHeart, an incredible organization, which we're going to get right into. Jim and Tinamarie, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. So I am curious for either of you, please tell us a little bit about DiveHeart, and we'll get into demystifying some of the amazing work that you're doing.
Sure. So DiveHeart is a 501c3 nonprofit. We work with people with disabilities, cognitive and physical, and we use scuba diving as a therapy for them. So we get people into the water locally in pools and in quarries, and then we also do trips, we do training. But the basic thing that we do is getting them into water and helping them experience something that does things for them. You know, there's pain relief, there's a difference in the way they think about themselves. There's a difference in the way other people think of them when they go back to their friends and family and say, I'm a scuba diver. So it's a really incredible thing to see and to experience for everyone.
It's incredible, and we're going to talk about some of the operations, and you're led by a small but mighty team, Tinamarie, leading that team. And you're in a couple of different areas. I'm particularly interested in the DiveHeart Military Wounded program, which I'm going to get into. But Jim, you have a very interesting story. You are the founder and president of DiveHeart, and you were once a volunteer guide for blind downhill skiers. But you were brought along with an inspiration. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, yeah, I'm a media guy, really. I was with the Tribune, WGN Radio, helped start up CLTV News in town here in Chicago. And in the 80s, I got involved in a blind downhill ski group. My oldest daughter's blind, and it really helped turn her life around and other people's lives around. And as a journalist in college, I thought, I'll take diving in case I meet someone like Jacques Cousteau. So I knew about diving in the 70s, and all the time I'm skiing and I'm watching these amazing things happen with blind skiers and skiers with other disabilities. I'm thinking, gosh, this would be really cool to do in diving. And mainly I was only thinking about physical disabilities. I was thinking mainly about getting people out of wheelchairs and getting them underwater. And when you get their buoyancy right and teach them how to use their breathing, they're able to actually stand up. And the big thrill for me is the first time I get a guy who's been in a wheelchair for 15 years, standing up and then looking down and going, oh my God, I'm standing up again. That and the look on their face, and it's amazing. And the smiles when they come out of the water is really amazing.
It is amazing. And I have to admit, in preparing for this interview, I was sort of hoping that you would, we record this interview and I could actually see you face to face. I was sort of hoping you'd both be in full scuba diving gear, but albeit our radio listeners don't know the difference. So we'll just say that you are, and you both look wonderful. So what I find fascinating is about DiveHeart, well, many things. But there is a concept of not-for-profits and for-profits working together to better communities. Why is this so important? And can you talk about how Dive Hard is sort of leading the way in that charge?
Sure. Last year, we started a campaign which is called The Power of Partnership. And what that really is we think a lot about the partnerships we have with for-profit businesses, because we go to them for various things. They're vendors, they're pool providers, they're supporters of ours, as well as the partnerships we have with other nonprofits and with the participants we work with and the volunteers we have. We've had some really interesting collaborations where we've gone and done, with a for-profit company where we've done talks, like, the brown bag lunches or something in the evening where we're able to talk about what Dive Hard does, and they can look to their employees or their customers and see if there were people that they know that could benefit from our program. We've also done things where we've collaborated and created there was a time when we did the wristbands with one of our travel providers that help us with our trips that we do outside of the U.S. And we collaborated with them and we gave them out to promote both of our what we do together.
Yeah, we think that for-profit businesses need an advantage, especially now with COVID. And we think that when we collaborate, it adds value to what they do. So we were with a financial organization at one point where they invited their customers and they invited their staff to come and hear us talk about the power of scuba therapy for children or adults with autism. So that was very powerful because they brought a lot of people in. People were in tears because they didn't realize how it could change the lives of individuals with autism, for example. Wow. And it has a lot to do with being underwater, eliminating surface distractions. The ambient pressure helps a lot. So that's a big thing we've discovered. And, adding value is a big part of what we can do with a for-profit company.
You mentioned our DMW program, and one of the bigger collaborations we've done in that area is with Raytheon, which is a for-profit company that has a very strong tie to the military. And they have sponsored programs for us in the Florida area. And we've had discussions. They haven't come to fruition yet, but we've had discussions with them about expanding and doing programs in Arizona and other locations. But they're a big supporter of our DMW program.
Yeah, we collaborate with hospitals like Shirley Ryan and Northwestern and Duke University Medical Centers, Midwestern here in Downers Grove, to do scuba therapy research as well. And we really pioneered that when we started Dive Hard in 2001 and are doing more than anybody else in the world in scuba therapy research. And there are really some great benefits, too. If we get people deep enough, it helps with chronic pain. People can be pain-free for up to 3 weeks after they go on a dive trip with us. Also, PTSD symptoms are alleviated if we can get them deep enough. Doctors from Hopkins discovered that.
And you've received many accolades, very, very, very well deserved, including, I know, Jim, you've been called the Humanitarian of the Year from the Illinois Skin and Scuba Council, as well as the Community Award from the Rehab Institute of Chicago. So congratulations on all of that. Aside for the program, many programs here in the Chicagoland area, and you were just talking about some of your military programs, which is fantastic, and I'm curious to learn more about offline. You are running programs all throughout the country, as well as a program in Malaysia. Can you briefly tell us about that?
Yes. In 2016, we were sponsored by a couple of volunteers who really wanted us to go out and do a program and do some training in the Philippines. They do a lot of work with us out here in our Chicago team. And we went with them, and we were also invited by a gentleman out of Singapore who wanted to talk to us about training people with disabilities to get them into commercial diving. And so in that, we met a man who came up to us. He came to the Singapore presentation and said, I have been waiting to do this with you guys for years. I'm retiring from my current position, and I want to do this. And he had already been a big person in the dive industry in that he specializes in teaching children. He calls it Kids Scuba. And so since 2016, he has just taken off. He's helped start and train a team that's out of Borneo, and he doesn't stop. He's totally bringing Dive Heart to as many people as he can in that region.
Well, that certainly seems to be a theme, is you guys don't stop, continuing to grow, continuing to make an impact in all areas. I've been chatting with Jim Elliott, the founder and president of Dive Heart, as well as Tinamarie Hernandez, the executive director, doing some incredible things, including in these tough times of COVID-19, working to form a partnership between not-for-profits and for-profits working together. Tinamarie, if you can share the website where people can learn more.
Sure. It's www.diveheart.org.
Fantastic. DIVEHEART.org. Check them out, support them, donate, get involved in their many, many programs throughout the Chicagoland area, as well as around the country and around the world. Jim and Tinamarie, thanks for joining us on the air.
Thank you so much.
And we'll be back in just a few moments. More on Get Down to Business, the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship.